Hi, I'm Fee, the Writer Bee. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Vlogmas Day 17. Today's video is the creation of my 2022 Excel spreadsheet, which I'm using for word tracking, recording the dates that I have completed stories and what draft the story is completed on, and my posting schedule for my fanfiction. I didn't use a tracker for last year for 2021. But I have used them many years in the past. The oldest word tracker that I've found that I've created was back in 2016, and I've changed my style of tracker multiple times since that year. My very early trackers, I had my story titles in the first column and going down the page in the column, listing down the page, and my day totals going across in rows. I went in and changed that very early on, changing the day of the month listed in the first column and then my story titles listed in each row. I found that a bit neater at the time for the amount of stories that I was writing. 2017, I went back to exclusively having the story title listed in the first column and the days of the month listed in the rest of the columns. 2018, I changed from having a monthly spreadsheet to a yearly spreadsheet. I got annoyed with each month having to import my story titles from one spreadsheet to the next and getting the end total from the month before onto that new spreadsheet. And if I'd gone and changed and added lines or started new stories or split stories or changed positions, that just made the whole spreadsheet and getting totals from them messy overall, because my formulas wouldn't be pointing to the exact right spot, so I was constantly having to update formulas in those spreadsheets. With the yearly spreadsheet, I stuck with having my story title on the left-hand side of the screen and my days of the month in columns after that. Early in the year, it was completely fine opening up my spreadsheet and putting in the day, but once I got to the later months of the year, so November, December, etc., it just got very difficult finding the exact day that I needed and scrolling across all the time when I'd accidentally gone and moved elsewhere in the spreadsheet. I tried to keep that yearly spreadsheet up in 2020 and got sick of how big it was, so I went back to trying to create monthly spreadsheets, splitting this time up between fanfiction and original writing and handwriting, and I just got sick of trying to record tallies, so I ended up giving up. That year, and 2021, I only recorded totals during nano months. So what I'm doing this year is I'm recording each individual story in a tab. I may have to split my spreadsheet up into multiple spreadsheets depending on how large the files are. So I may have to have one for original work and then one per fandom for my larger fandoms. I created one tab as a template tab, and I'm working on one of my original stories, which is a work in progress, because I needed totals and real data in there so I could see how my data was going to work together. At the top of the spreadsheet, I have the name of the story, whether it's an original or fandoms. I have the word count when I started the story at the start of the year. I have what my current word count is up to and the total number of words written that year towards that story. I then break it up into months with January, February, March, April going down the page and the day of the week going across the page, and at the end of the month, on days that are shorter than 31 days, I've gone and blacked out those boxes so I know the month is ended, so I don't write data into those days accidentally. Within the month, I have the day total, so I know how many words I've written on that actual day, and then I have the total words for the story, and the last box underneath the total words for the story has the total words for that month. And so I don't have to go back into every single spreadsheet to work out how much I've written towards each story. The master page has the totals for each story and the total that I've gotten towards that story for the month. So I'll also be able to easily see at a glance where my focus was each month because of the word totals showing up on each line for those stories. The template spreadsheet, I remove all of the data that I've added when I was testing, bringing all the totals back to 0, and then I go and lock the spreadsheet so I know that it's the master one, so I don't accidentally copy over the top of it, because it's really annoying. I've done it in the past with the master spreadsheet where I've gone and copied it, or I've intended to copy it to add data for it, and then I've written over the top of the master one, and then I've had to go back and rebuild that spreadsheet from scratch so it's there to use for the next time. That was back when I was doing monthly spreadsheets. The master page of this spreadsheet goes and points to individual sheets itself, so it shouldn't matter on this one whether I go and move the data to different lines because the formulas are pointing to the sheet to get the data from. The most annoying thing is just adding each individual story to the spreadsheet when I go and add them, because I have to make sure it points to the sheet's title name and that the title name matches the story, and that I'm pointing each thing to the correct cell within the document. But once everything's set up, I don't have to go back and do it again because it'll already be in there. At the top of the master total spreadsheet, I go and add the start total, which counts everything that's in the start column for my start word count, so I know how many words I've written overall before the year has started. Then I go and add my current word total, which tallies up everything for the current word total for each individual story. And then total words written, so I know how many words I've written from the start of the year towards the end of the year. And I added another row between the month titles and when I start recording the story titles, so that I can get the overall word count for each month towards each story. I went back to one of my previous year's templates to go get the information that I wanted to record for my story posting schedule. Previous years, I recorded my editing and my story posting schedule on 2 different tabs, and I wanted them both on the same tab this time because usually when I'm editing something, I'm editing the story to get it ready for posting. I also added a tab for the date that I completed stories. That was one thing that I missed for this year, was not having a place to record my stories. I like being able to go back and have a look at the old spreadsheets to see when I have completed stuff. And that is my Excel document for 2022. Thank you for joining me today.